East of the Philippines, south of Japan, a stretch of Pacific Ocean roughly 1,000,000 square kilometers wide, where ships and aircraft have vanished without a trace. Japan officially declared it a danger zone in the 1950s, after losing vessels it couldn't account for. It sent a research ship to investigate. That ship disappeared too. All 31 crew members, gone. The area sits over one of the most geologically violent zones on the planet. Underwater volcanoes erupting constantly, releasing methane bursts strong enough to drop water density instantly and sink a ship with no warning at all. In 2015, sonar imaging picked up something else entirely. Symmetrical, flat structures on the seafloor, arranged at angles that don't occur naturally. They sit 2,000 feet down, exactly where the disappearances cluster the most. No submersible has ever reached them. Every attempt has been cut short by equipment failure or weather. They're still down there. 7 miles down, the deepest point in every ocean on Earth. Pressure there could crush a submarine, like a can. Almost no one has ever seen the bottom. In 2014, a submersible picked up deep, metallic groaning sounds from the dark. Nobody has explained them. Camera footage has shown drag marks across the seafloor sediment, long trails from something big enough to leave them, never caught on camera itself. In 2016, researchers recorded clicking patterns that don't match any known marine life, rhythmic enough that some scientists have quietly floated the idea it could be communication. Whatever's making those sounds is still down there. Tonga is the second deepest trench on Earth, and less than 1% of it has ever been explored. It sits directly on the Ring of Fire, underwater volcanoes erupting constantly along its floor. Sharks thought extinct millions of years ago are thriving down there, undisturbed. In 2009, researchers picked up a deep vibration coming from the trench, repeating every 14 hours, exact same pattern every time. Strong enough to shake equipment on ships above the surface. No one has identified the source. Cameras lowered into the trench have caught silhouettes too large to be whales moving through the dark. In one clip, something with limbs stretching 30 feet passes the lens and is gone in seconds. Off the South China Sea sits the deepest known blue hole on the planet, 987 feet, straight down through a coral reef. Past 300 feet, the oxygen disappears completely. Divers can't follow it any further. Remote vehicles that went deeper found a separate world, species adapted to zero oxygen, layered sediment holding thousands of years of preserved DNA that's barely been studied. Acoustic scans suggest the hole connects to horizontal tunnels running into the reef, and no one knows where they lead. In 2016, fishermen reported a low hum coming from the hole itself, strong enough to carry through a boat's hull. It matched nothing on record. Lost City wasn't even discovered until the year 2000. A field of ghost white towers on the Atlantic floor, some nearly 200 feet tall, built by a chemical reaction unlike any other vent system on Earth. Some of the towers have been growing for over 30,000 years. Life clusters around them in the exact chemical conditions scientists believe existed when life on this planet first began. Thermal readings show heat coming from deeper in the structure, and the visible towers can account for. Something below is generating more heat than what's on the surface. The base of it has never been reached. In the Gulf of Mexico, there's a lake sitting on the ocean floor. Inside the ocean, a brine pool over a mile wide, water so salty it never mixes with what surrounds it. It has its own shoreline. Anything that swims into it dies almost instantly. The edges are ringed with carcasses that don't rot in the normal sense. They mummify, some preserved for decades. But right at the boundary, where the brine meets normal seawater, an entire food chain thrives on the toxic chemistry. Core samples from the edges have turned up microbial DNA that doesn't match anything in any database. The deepest parts have never been sampled. The brine would destroy the equipment sent in to try. The ocean floor holds an estimated 3 million shipwrecks. Most still carry what sank with them: fuel, munitions, cargo never meant to stay underwater. Off England, the SS Richard Montgomery has sat since 1944 with 1,400 tons of live unexploded munitions still inside it. Its masts break the surface at low tide. Nobody has a plan to defuse it. The risk of triggering it is considered worse than leaving it alone. At Chuuk Lagoon, dozens of sunken Japanese warships are slowly leaking decades-old fuel oil into reefs that took thousands of years to form. Marine archaeologists call it a slow-motion environmental disaster, with almost no funding to stop it. And yet the same wrecks have become something else entirely. Reefs colonized by species found now here and nearby, evolving to live on metal instead of rock. When a whale dies at sea, its body starts an ecosystem that can run for a century. Sharks first, then bacteria, then chemosynthetic creatures that only exist on that one skeleton. In 2019, a submersible surveying off California found a whale fall mid-collapse. Except the skeleton didn't match any known species. The bones were too large, the proportions were wrong. The crew took samples. The samples were lost in a lab accident before anyone could analyze them. A return expedition was scheduled. By the time it launched, shifting sediment had buried the skeleton completely. Whatever species that was, it's gone again. The Arctic seafloor is packed with frozen methane. More carbon locked inside than in all the world's coal, oil, and gas combined. It stays stable, as long as the water stays cold. The water isn't staying cold. In 2011, a research vessel off Norway picked up a methane plume a kilometer wide, rising in a column so dense it jammed their sonar. Whatever was underneath it, they couldn't see. Crews said the ocean surface above it went unnaturally calm. Then, in under 10 minutes, it stopped. Sediment samples showed the vent had been releasing gas continuously for 800 years. Nobody knows why it stopped. Nobody knows if it's still off. Tamu Massif is the largest known volcano on Earth, bigger than New Mexico, buried under the Pacific. For decades, scientists thought it was extinct. Then in 2023, thermal imaging picked up heat signature rising from its summit. The seafloor above it is rising, only centimeters a year. Not enough to panic over, enough to mean pressure is building underneath. Tamu Massif last erupted 145 million years ago. If it goes again, the displacement alone could send tsunamis across the entire Pacific basin. Nobody is watching it closely enough to know when.